Hi there, welcome to Mom Coach Wife. My name is Alina Michelle, and today is Mompreneur Monday. We are going to be meeting Kelsi and Beverly of Planted with Kelsi Lynn. I'm really excited to bring her story to you guys, as I am with every single one of the amazing moms that I feature each and every Monday. If you are new to this channel, every Monday we have Mompreneur Mondays, and on Wednesdays we talk about some other mommy specific things, or you may get some insight on my personal life. Now, if you have been here for a while, I want to thank you for supporting the channel and sticking with us through almost a year of Mom Coach Wife being active. And again, if you are new, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Give this video a thumbs up and hit the bell for notifications. That way, you know every single Monday and Wednesday when I drop another video what to expect and you can tune in. For now, let's go ahead and meet Kelsi. Hi, Kelsi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How have you been?
Good.
Good, good. So, the first thing that I want you to do is just go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everyone what it is that makes Kelsi Beverly more than just a mom.
So my name is Kelsi Beverly. I'm a wife, a mom of three, and I also run a plant-based meal prep business called Planted by Kelsi Lynn. And I think what makes me more than a mom is I think finally realizing that I can be a mom and still do the things I love.
Cool, yeah. That can be really, really hard to kind of balance out like, oh, I gotta take care of I only have one. And I know you have three, two of which are twins,
Yes.
and they're pretty close in age. So I can't even imagine how much it was to juggle little ones because they're a little bit older now, but when they were really little, juggling taking care of people who absolutely need you all the time and still being yourself and taking care of yourself. So,
Yeah, I think that was the hardest part. My oldest is six, and so the twins are four. And my oldest was only about 18 months when I found out I was pregnant with the twins, and it definitely wasn't planned. And so my world just got like flipped upside down. I'm like, what do you mean? And so, like, having a newborn, two newborns, and a 2.5 year old, like, just like flipped my world like upside down.
yeah. So, did you know right away that you were having twins?
I actually did. So I knew right away I was pregnant. I'm like, something's not right. This is different. And
Sounds about
then
right.
like a couple weeks later I started cramping and I'm like, oh no, like I shouldn't be feeling this soon. And so I went in for ultrasound and I remember the lady, she was so quiet. And I'm like, there has to be something wrong. And she just kept looking. I'm like, it doesn't take that long. Like, what are you looking for? And
Yeah.
she was like, so I want you to see something. She's like, there's baby A. And I'm like, wait, when there's an A, there's
Hey, there's a B.
something else.
At least she
Yeah.
stopped at B and then say, and
Yeah.
that's C and D.
Yeah, Yup, yup. And so that was, yeah. And I think it was kind of, it made my pregnancy seem so long because a lot of people don't find out. Like, you might not get your first ultrasound to like 12, 13 weeks. And then you
Right.
find out. So I knew the entire time. So it made it like drag on forever.
Yeah. I used to want twins, and then I gave birth, and I was like, I'm glad it's done. I don't want to
Yeah.
do this twice.
No, no, no. But
Yeah.
it hasn't been all bad. I find I find the beautiful moments in it, and so I just keep trying to push, and I think not put too much pressure on myself,
Hmm.
especially like as motherhood is involved. I had a different view of what motherhood would look for me, and it wasn't realistic at all.
I don't think it ever
And
is.
no, no, and it's so hard. Like I was just talking to my therapist the other day, like I still hold on to what I thought motherhood would be. I wanted to be
Mhm.
a stay-at-home mom. I wanted to homeschool my kids. I wanted all their food from scratch. Like that, that's what I pictured like it being. And then not being able to like obtain that like used to be like so frustrating for me. So I'm like,
Yeah.
this is what I wanted. I should be able to do it. And so lately I've been really leaning into the fact that what I want is not realistic and to accept
Mhm.
that.
Yeah. And I think that's really common that we go into not even just motherhood, but things in general with this high expectation. And
Hmm.
I don't think I mentioned this yet, but since I've known you since what, middle school?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So, and I remember you being a bit of a perfectionist because I don't know if you remember us writing our little stories. I found a few of those, by the way, in the last few
Oh
years.
goodness.
We were a trip, but but I remember you being like so particular about like the parts that you wrote. So I can imagine you being very particular about like what you expected in motherhood, right? And I think to some degree we all kind of do that, and the society that we're in paints this picture of what motherhood's supposed to look like,
Hmm.
and it's very very unrealistic in most cases. Like if you look at a celebrity and you see their kids dressed in all white, no stains, you see these perfectly cleaned rooms, and you see them
Hmm.
talking about how their kid just had an all natural organic meal. And for a lot of people, that's not fully realistic. You know, you may get bits and pieces of it here and there, but it's not realistic. For one, most of these like influencers or celebrities that we see, they have either staged some of the photos or videos that we've seen, or
Hmm.
they have a whole group of people helping them get this particular look. And
Yeah.
it's that one piece of it that's never really showcased. And the regular everyday mom isn't really put out there for us to see, like, oh, okay, my dog just jumped in here.
That's hilarious. I saw you looking. I'm like, what is it? I got scared for a minute.
I I blocked him off, and he was just like, "Nope," and just came in here. But again, that perfect to what I was just saying. Like
Yeah.
literally, there's certain things that are not controllable, you know,
Hmm.
and that's one of the things that you don't really realize until you get into that role. Like, oh
Yeah.
wait, I can't control whether or not I'm gonna have time to do this because my kid might get sick, or my kid
Hmm.
might decide that today they want to jump in muddy puddles like Pippa or Peppa, and now the cute little outfit that I thought we were going to take pictures in, I got to go change
Hmm.
that. You know, so there's so many like outside factors that we really don't think about. For one,
Yeah.
because of lack of experience, but then also because society doesn't really showcase that,
Yeah.
you know? So, what were some of the things that you were really shocked about with motherhood? It could even be from the beginning stages, or maybe something today that was like a wake up call for you.
Um, I think the biggest wake up call, especially right now, with my twins getting a little bit older, is their personalities coming out, and me realizing that I have to raise and teach three different people who
Mm-hmm.
learn different, who interpret different, which means I can't just go with one plan. And
Mm-hmm.
that's like the biggest thing is like I can tell my son, have a seat, and I can tell my daughter to have a seat, but my other son, I have to pick him up, and I have to move him, and so it's like I can't just be upstairs and like go, do this because someone is not gonna,
Right.
they're not gonna interpret it. They're four, but the terrible two stage feel like it's still like dragging like on to here. And
Yeah.
so I definitely think that's the biggest thing is just realizing that I have to basically have three different plans at all
Hmm.
times.
Yeah. I couldn't even imagine three different personalities because I'm still trying to handle one.
Yeah.
Because then, because even with one kid, you have your own personality. If you're married or dating or living with significant other, what have you, you have their personality, and then you have kids. And my daughter is like a blend of the both of us. And it's just like, for one, it's a reality check of who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't really realize a lot of different things about myself until having her and like her mirroring certain things. I'm like, oh, I do that. It's
Yeah.
like so there's that. So then if you added in the two more
Yeah.
personalities
Yeah.
that have different blends or all individual parts of
Mhm.
themselves,
Yeah.
and I couldn't even imagine like trying to juggle that because yeah,
Yeah.
like we talked about off camera, this really gave me a different appreciation for teachers because they
Mm-hmm.
have classrooms of like 20 some kids and there's no way they're all on the same page, but somehow they
Right.
manage it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
And
crazy.
I couldn't imagine, and like I admire teachers so much because there's so much work and so much pressure, put on them, because they're looked at when the kids don't succeed, and so they
Right.
have to find those ways. And I can't, with three, I'm struggling, so I can't imagine like 20. I'm like, wait, this is not gonna work.
They'd just take over my classroom. I'd just be at the desk, like, do whatever you want.
Yep.
Try
Parents come back. How was today? It was great.
it.
Classroom a
Everybody had a
mess. I'm like,
wonderful
well,
time.
yep,
Look at the room. You can tell they had fun.
yep.
Did they learn anything? Debatable.
Playing, playing is learning. So
It
that's what I
is.
go with. Yep.
It is. Like I've been really shocked at some of the things that my daughters learn from playing because
Mm-hmm.
like in my head I'm thinking like traditional school because for one I don't really remember being that little, you
Yeah.
know. I might have like a few little memories here and there, but I'm like I don't remember how I learned. My mom read to me, I read back to her, like
Mm-hmm.
that simple. But when you actually get to watch a little kid, it's like, oh, you're actually learning from playing with that doll.
Yeah.
Nice. Take
Yeah.
some weight off of me.
Yes, definitely. And I think I've learned to, especially with my son, because he has sensory processing disorder, and so he has to move all the time. He has to be jumping, like moving, and so like sitting down at the computer is not, it doesn't work. And I had to
Mhm.
learn to let go of the expectation of him sitting like, a normal kid would, at school, because
Mhm.
that's not what he is. And I think
Yeah.
that's one of the problems with the school system is that like teaching is still kind of aimed at one direction when
Right.
kids learn so differently. So letting go of that, I'm like, okay, if you have to bounce, I'll let you bounce. If we have to take breaks for you to do that, instead of being frustrated all the time at the fact that he wouldn't sit still. So it's just every day's a lesson. I tell you that much.
Yeah. It's like a rewiring of our brains because we have
Hmm.
to adjust to the little lives in our life. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because I'm the
and
same
they
way. I'm
always.
thinking, like, you got to sit still, do the lesson. I told you how to do this. Now you just go do
Hmm.
it. And then you got to remember, like, my daughter's almost four. They're only 3 and 4 years old and six. Like, it's not going to happen the same way as if I told an adult to go do something.
Nope, nope. And I think that's the biggest thing is like always reminding myself. So I get frustrated from time to time because I don't think about it, but then afterwards I'm like, should I really have expected him to be able to do that?
Right. Well, it's good that you're having that moment to actually reflect. And I think that's the beauty of like being able to grow in motherhood is you may do something and then it's not going to always be right. Like we're not perfect. We're human beings as well. So the beauty is actually learning from that and learning to be better for our children and for ourselves as individuals. Um, but to talk about something a little bit more fun, what are some of the things that you enjoy doing with your kids?
Um, we like to dance. So like we have kid bop dance parties like all
They
the
still have
time.
Kid Bop? I'm
Yes.
learning. I didn't know
No,
that.
like yes. And so like I don't like, a lot of music is not censored. So I'm really like,
Hmm.
especially because kids pick up around this age, like language and stuff like that. And that's one thing like I didn't want them to do. So like I found it to where they didn't really listen to like music. And then I'm like, wait, y'all have no rhythm. Like, wait, we got to do something about this. So I turned to Kids Bop. And it's been so fun just watching them, so like getting the songs, and the songs are appropriate. But then like my
Uh,
son just learned how to do, is it called the floss?
oh, that little arm thing.
All day long,
Yeah,
all
I
day
still don't know
long.
how to do that.
Yeah, me neither. But it's just so it's just so fun to be able to interact with them that way because they enjoy it. And then like we get exercise in. Some days I don't make the treadmill, but we can dance for 30 minutes. So that's one
Yeah.
of our fun things to do because they have like choreography and everything. So they'll teach you the moves and then so we be doing like our whole little performance. So that's like the most fun thing we get to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, y'all ain't got no rhythm. We gotta fix this. Oh, that's
Yeah.
funny.
I was like, my poor baby cannot dance. Like, what is up? I can't send you into the world like this. Like, we got to get something going.
Yeah. See, for us, I didn't know about Kids Bop. Like, I mean, obviously, I knew about it from like our generation, but I didn't know that
Yeah.
it was still going on. I never even thought to look into it. So, we I basically play like old school music. My husband calls me
Hmm.
old because I still listen to music that like is from my parents' generation.
Yes.
But
Yes.
it's safe for one.
Hmm.
Like even when they are talking about inappropriate things, it's hidden enough
Hmm.
that like if my kid is singing it, I know it's an innocent thing. Like I'm not about to play WAP.
Right.
Like,
This is gonna happen.
like can't have
Yeah.
your kid running around singing WAP. Like
Yeah. And that's our car playlist is an old school playlist. And so
yeah,
when they're
so
in the car, like I can listen to WAP later. Like right
right.
now, like old school, turn on the old school, we in the car and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just yeah.
Yeah, so I was like that's usually what I play like around the house or like if I'm listening to music with her or like the different little soundtracks from Disney movies. That's been like our thing. She was obsessed with the Aladdin soundtrack for a while and Moana. Those two were like her
Aladdin is
things.
my favorite movie.
Really?
Yeah, I love the new one with Will Smith. I watch it at least like twice a week.
We haven't really been doing many movies recently, but went on like a binge of watching like Disney movies and stuff.
Mhm.
And Disney Plus just added the Cinderella with Brandy.
Yes, I was so happy to see that, and I was very crushed because I grabbed my daughter and I'm like, "Watch this with me," and she was not at all interested. And I was
Aw.
like, you know what? and I still haven't got a chance. I said, I'm gonna lock myself in my room and just watch it by myself. So eventually, I have to carve out some time to do that. And I'm like, maybe she'll get into it in a little while. But
She
yeah, I
might,
was so hurt. Yeah.
because Brooklyn wasn't really like into it. She just heard me
Hmm.
call her. She wasn't really into it like when we first sat down, but then I heard her like starting to sing some of the songs and stuff throughout the day. I was like, "See,
Hmm.
you did like it." So
Yeah.
yeah, I was so excited because I literally just before they put it up there, I literally looked it up to see if it was on there. I'm like, "Why wouldn't this one be on here?" And I remember being mad, and then like maybe a month later, I
Right.
log in and it was there. I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah. There was a big thing about it. Like, I read like people were really upset that it wasn't on there, and I didn't realize it wasn't on there until I read it on Facebook that it wasn't there, and I'm like, that's so weird. But the people got what they wanted. They fixed it real
Good.
quick.
We need we need to fight for some more stuff.
Hmm.
They missing some other things too, but we won't go down the Disney rabbit hole of things they're missing on Disney
Right.
Plus. But yeah, I didn't know it was a big thing. I just I had shown her like a bunch of older Disney movies that I had enjoyed as a kid, and I was thinking like I'm finding Cinderella, but I'm not finding the one with Brandy. And I remember Googling it because I was like, I didn't know who wrote it. And I still don't know their names off the top of my head. But I remember Googling it and finding out that they just didn't have it on there. And I was like, well, does Disney own it? And I couldn't really figure that part out for whatever
Yeah.
reason. So I was just like, okay, I guess I just have to suck it up and not be able to show her. But then came through. So between that and then like Netflix, I was so excited about Jingle Jangle when that came out. I,
Yeah, I
that's
love
actually on
that
my
movie.
playlist.
That was a good one. And same thing. I try to get them to sit down and watch. And my daughter, she stayed around for a little while because she does like singing and stuff, but it has to come quick. Like if you don't
Hmm.
catch her in the first 5 minutes, she's like, I'm gone. Like it's not
Yeah,
so yeah, but that's
same
a
on.
good one too. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so happy. My daughter's into musicals like me, so I'm good on that part. But they might be more like my brother used to fast forward through the music parts, like
That's so horrible.
legit. He would ruin the whole movie because he'd fast forward through all the singing.
Oh no, those are the best part.
Right. That's what I said. But I can go down the musical talk all day because that's my thing. But let's talk a little bit about your business because we already know you're married. You've got three beautiful children who didn't have rhythm, but you saved them from that.
Yep.
And now you have a business with a website launching soon. So tell everybody a little bit about what it is that you do, name of your business, and well, actually, your website should be launched by the time this
Yes.
goes out. So actually, you have a website up, I should say, because nobody's
Yeah.
watching this as we're recording.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and now you got me real committed because it has to
I
be out.
know. So now when this is playing and people are gonna be like, it's not up. It's gonna be because you
Yeah.
didn't hit
So,
publish. But
yeah. Thank you for that. So, my business is called Planted by Kelsi Lynn, and right now it's focused on plant-based meal prep. And so kind of how I got into the plant-based world is I decided to take a course that taught more about plant-based nutrition. It's something, it's big, now, but something you kind of hear about, and I'm like, well, I don't know anything about it. And I
Mhm.
happened to attend a boot camp, and there was a coach there, and she talked about just all the benefits, especially when it comes to mental health, and that was really important to me because I do deal with some mental illness. And so I was like, let me give this a go. And I committed for 6 weeks to be plant based, and it literally changed my life. Like, I mean, like a total 180. Like, I had more energy. Like, I wasn't, my anxiety got way better. My depression wasn't as bad. I'm like, I can do stuff. And like, it made it so like regular life was already overwhelming. I couldn't imagine adding anything else to it. And I was just at
Right.
home with the kids at that point. And then, so going forward, I just really kept doing more research, and I decided that I wanted to become a holistic nutritionist. And so
Mm.
I took a certification, and that really got deeper into the health benefits of a plant based diet. And it really got me inspired because a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions about what a plant based diet is. And I
Mhm.
think that's the biggest thing. A lot of people think that a plant based diet is a vegan diet. It is not. People think that the only thing you eat is plants. That's not, totally true. It's just a diet that's more focused on whole food products. So, plants straight from the earth, nuts, seeds, legumes, things that aren't processed.
Right.
And so I realized, especially in our community, that there's this block where they see something, or like you hear eating vegan is expensive, all that stuff. And so that'll keep, especially if you think like I have to double my grocery bill. So that's
Yeah.
a grocery bill or paying a bill. People aren't
Mhm.
going to even look into that when they have that, thought about it. And so that kind of inspired me to be able to put out something that was first affordable, and then a good way for people to get plant-based meals into their lives. I know a lot of people, like you hear plant-based, like, well, how do I cook that? And that was my biggest, yeah. See, and when I went in, like I already love to cook. Like I love to cook, and I already meal prep like all the time before this. And so like putting it together, like I found it really easy for me to adjust. And then being that no one else is really plant based in my home, my husband's transitioning.
Mhm.
I'm the cook. I still had to make sure it was good enough for them to eat, especially the kids,
Right.
because they're picky. And so, like, it really challenged me to try different things to make the flavors pop. And that's where I'm like, okay, I can really make this plant based stuff taste good. And then someone reached out to me one day and asked me to meal prep for them, and it literally took off from there. So I didn't really plan to like start meal prepping for people, but she asked, and I did it for a couple weeks. And I'm like, I wonder if anyone else would want me to. So I just put out a post, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll prep for you. And then like if it
Just
was
like you need to
just
do the
like,
website.
see,
That's
yes, you're right. And that's literally like And it's crazy because I find myself like getting to the point where I'm like frustrated because like I think I still have an unrealistic view of how I want my business to be and where I thought it would be now compared to where it is. And I find myself like, you know what? I'm done with this. And then like someone inboxes me like, I really need your help. And so like it is great to be reminded. I have to remind myself that someone out here needs what I'm giving. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so that really keeps me pushing. And now that I have my meal prep thing going and it's going strong, I'm branching out. So I really want to be able to teach families, especially moms, you know, parents and stuff, how to transition their kids over to a plant-based lifestyle because it's not easy.
Yeah, I can
My kids,
imagine.
yeah, my kids are still not where I want them to be. As far as like my goal of us like unprocessing our diet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we've made progress. And then I think I see a lot of parents, you know, they get frustrated, like, okay, you're not gonna eat this, well fine, just go eat this because I don't, you don't want to be frustrated. Like life is already
Right.
hard enough without fighting with your kids about what you want them to eat, like every single meal. And so
Yeah.
I just wanna kind of be able to ease people into that and let them know like it's going to be a journey, it's going to take some time, but it's so worth it, especially we want to take care of ourselves, but our children are getting sicker like by
Mm-hmm.
the day. I read an article the other day that said that kids as young as 7 are already showing signs of heart disease because they have oil built up in their arteries from all the junk they're eating. And if we
Mm-hmm.
think about it, we can want them to go to school and get a good education. We can save up all this money for them. We can invest and do all that. But if they're not going to be well enough to live long enough to even get it, then what's the point?
Yeah, and I think a
And
lot of that
so,
is passed down because
yeah.
if you
Hmm.
even look at kind of like how diets have changed, if we go back to like our grandparents and then our parents and then us and then our
Hmm.
children, you can see a deterioration in the food quality that's available. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't be shocked if a lot of the health issues are actually being passed down generation to generation.
Hmm.
And then since they're already starting at a disadvantage, now you have to completely flip the switch just to give them that same fair chance.
Yeah. Yeah. And if it, when you eat in some way, like I try my best to eat like stick to my plant-based lifestyle, it's still hard. I struggle. When I get busy, I don't have time. We're getting pizza. If I'm driving and I'm out, like I didn't plan my day. I'm like I didn't meal prep for myself, meal prep for everybody else, but I didn't have time to do it for myself, so I have to go do a drive-through. So it's not about perfection. It's just really prioritizing that part of your life so you're able to like do it consistently.
Right. And that's what's really important. And I know if you guys watched the episode with Brittany Bronson, I said this then: balance is about choices, it's not about perfection, you know.
Mhm.
It's not a perfect system. It's but the beauty of it is when you kind of know what you're supposed to be doing, it's easier to get back on track. It's easier to say,
Yeah.
okay, we had a day that we weren't on that perfect road, but we know what we did wrong and then we can get back on track. So the amazing thing is that no matter what happens in those little bumps in the road, you already know what your goal is and you know what that mission is. So you can always get back focused on it.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's the beautiful thing. And even with the flexibility of a plant-based diet, like it's more about putting plants first, not throwing everything else out the window. So
Mm-hmm.
I think if more people realize that, it wouldn't be as much pressure. Especially, you think about a vegan diet, no meat, no dairy. It's like don't. A
Mm-hmm.
plant-based diet is eat more of your vegetables and eat less of the junk, and
Right.
that's it. And so I just want to be able to really spread that and then be able to help people learn that plant-based cooking is not intimidating as it seems.
Yeah.
Tofu's a cinch, I promise.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I'm glad that you mentioned about the difference between plant-based and veganism because I know that the two, because they're similar in some ways, of course, because
Hmm.
veganism is completely plants only. There's like really,
Hmm.
if it's not completely plant-based, it's not a part of their diet at all. And you have and it's kind of described in the name, it's plant-based. So the base of
Right.
your meals are going to be plants. Instead of you
Yeah.
having a plate and it's mostly your steak, it's going to be mostly your vegetables. And so
Yeah.
I like that you actually explained that difference, because even me myself, when I first hear plant-based, the first thing I think about is vegan. Like I don't,
Mhm.
even though it's literally, like I said, in the name, the first thing I think about is vegan. Is like, yeah, I need some fish or chicken or turkey or
Mhm.
something
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
side in my head still. And it is like a rewiring and a reworking
Mhm.
to of you, the thought patterns, and a breaking down of the systems. And one of the things that you mentioned that I think is so important are the misconceptions about it being more expensive, or it
Mhm.
being something where you're not going to get the flavor. And like you said, in our community, it's like if it's not going to have some flavor to it, we're not eating it.
Mhm.
Like if it doesn't taste good, then that's like just one of the things where like bland.
Mm-mm.
No, it's not too many of
No.
us that's going to eat something that's bland. So it's
Yeah.
so important to know that there's ways to have a healthier diet and still have it taste good without feeling like you're really losing out on that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's like my big challenge when I cook. It's like my husband will eat it, anybody eat it. Um, because he likes to eat. He used to me like I'm always the cook, so like I do holidays, like I'm mac and cheese, and I done got the dressing together, and I done baked some pies. Like I'm bringing it, and so I had to figure out a way to still bring it with the plant based food. So, and I said if I got him to eat it, he like it. I'm like anybody in the world will love it, and so that's really my goal. And that's really one thing I try to like make sure is that everything I send out is full of flavor, so that people can see like okay, I can still enjoy this. Like I have a jerk tofu on my menu. And
Okay.
I was like, I didn't know how it was going to turn out. And I'm like, okay, I wouldn't miss no jerk chicken. Like, but, if you don't present it, if you gave somebody like a white square piece of tofu, they're like, ugh, I wouldn't
Yeah,
eat that. And
I'm
so
not
I think
touching
it's,
tofu personally. I'm just like, nope. And
yeah,
if I touch tofu, it's because somebody didn't tell me it was tofu and it
tofu.
looked like something else. Because that little white block.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's so intimidating. I'm teaching a cooking class right now to some teams that are involved in nonprofit, and like each week we've been going through, and I've been trying to like prioritize showing them how to cook different plant based proteins. Because usually
Mhm.
where people worry about protein, and like if you're replacing like your meat with that, that's usually people's biggest thing is like okay, how can I make this taste good or be like that? And so it's
Mhm.
literally just experimenting and like not looking, I think not comparing it to what you used to eat. That's a big thing too.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to be able to compare textures. They are totally different most of the time. And then the
Mhm.
flavors can be different. But I think if you go into it being open to new textures and flavors instead of trying to like replace and like mimic something, it can make you be more open to it too. And
Yeah.
I think that's one thing with like the plant based like vegan culture right now is that a company can slap plant based or vegan on anything. And a lot of people don't realize
Yeah.
that vegan doesn't mean healthy. And the fact that plant based technically does, but now companies are just putting it on the package.
Because they
Um,
modify something from a plant and now they can
yeah.
legally they can say it's plant based.
Hmm.
Like all the little burgers that they made,
Yeah.
that
And they're
it's
it's
just processed food all over
It's
again.
not. Yes, and it drives me crazy to be like, I'm going vegan, I'm eating healthy, and then they have a freezer full of processed foods. Like
Yep.
that's not the same as eating whole real food, but it said plant based on it, so I'm gonna
Right.
grab it, and that's exactly where vegan plant based eating gets expensive because those burgers you get four of them for like $50. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like that
Because you're paying
investment.
for that plant that processed it and everything
Yeah,
else. Whereas if you got actual vegetables, we go and get like a whole thing of spinach or kale for like $1.
yeah, yeah,
Sometimes less than that. So it's
yeah.
it's really not expensive to truly have a plant-based diet. But
Mm-hmm.
if you still want to have it processed, that's where it gets expensive. It's not expensive really to even have a garden.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
you got a little space in your yard, some dirt and a
Mm-hmm.
bucket or something.
Yep.
Because you don't have to have it, a specific way to grow something. Like I have herbs in my windowsill,
Yeah.
couple of dollars, and we can cook with that for as long as that plant stays alive, as long as I don't kill it.
Yeah. That's when I started the garden last year, and closer to the like closer to the end of the summer.
Mm.
But I was really excited, and I actually got to use some of things from my garden in my
Yeah.
meals in the summertime. So I'm like ready for spring to like get here because I want to um be able to utilize more of the stuff that I grow because that also saves me money. Like I'll be
Mm.
out there. I don't, it's not gardening seems so intimidating sometimes. And once you get into it, it can be really simple if you don't overcomplicate it. And so that's the one thing I'm like, come on, I need the frost to go away. We can't be doing no freezes and stuff like that, so I can get my garden back up.
Yeah, it's so exciting. I started mine last year too. Like I want to say it was like the end of spring when we got started. But I planted my watermelons too late, so I started to see them grow. But it was like September, so
Okay.
I knew nothing was coming from that. But yeah, it's amazing when you actually grow
Mhm.
something yourself, just how fresh it is. It tastes completely different than anything you buy in the store.
Right.
Um, Even the stuff that they slap organic on,
Yeah. It doesn't. Mm-mm.
yeah, I don't know. It's just not the same. Maybe it's just like that satisfaction of knowing that you grew it.
That is true.
I don't
That's
know, but I
true.
know our fruits and vegetables that we got from our garden were like a world different than anything we've ever purchased from the store. So
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely, if y'all are listening and you're considering plant-based diet, consider a garden too. Even if it's something small, even if you're in an apartment, do something in your windowsill. Like green onions and herbs grow so easily,
Yep.
so easily. I literally have green onions growing in nothing but water. So
Yeah. I need to get my
definitely.
herb garden going. It's coming.
Yeah, these are my first actual herbs because we didn't have herbs last time, so I just picked some up from the store that were already like pre-planted, and
Okay. Yeah.
so I just did them that way. And I think we have some seeds for herbs, but we didn't get them started last year. But I literally started with green onions that I got from the store. We were watching some YouTube video, and the girl was like, "Oh, they're so easy. These are just in water." And I was like, "Is that easy? I've been throwing away the root end of it
Yeah.
all this time, and I could have been
Mhm.
regrowing it." So that's how we started our green onions. Those actually came directly from the store. But what's crazy is we started them in water, and they grew up and they were still kind of like skinny little green onions like what you see in the store. And then once the frost broke, we actually planted them outside in the soil and they got so big.
Oh
Like
wow.
they probably like tripled in size from what we purchased them in the store, even in the width of them, to what they were once we got them out in the soil. And they did not taste like the ones that they came from. I don't know what the change was, but they ended up tasting so much better after they had been
Mhm.
planted in the soil. So yeah, just a little
Yeah.
food hack. But
Yep.
anyways,
Get that garden going, guys.
yes, get it started. It's so worth it. Um,
Mhm.
so what was the inspiration behind the name for your business?
Um, that's kind of a hard one because I bounced around I think a few names and then like I know I wanted to identify myself in it just because of the big connection I have and how the plant-based lifestyle like changed my life. So I want to make sure I was in it. And then I think I did something for my mom and I made her some stuff. And I'm like, here, you've been planted. And I'm like, oh,
Oh,
hey, that's it. It was really like just like that. And I'm like, all right. And so like I love it. Like when you order like on my website, it says you've been planted. And that's and like when I look at it like outside of that, my goal was that by doing this and getting people to try my meals, I'm planting a seed that will hopefully inspire them to eat better. And that's why I said if I can have one mom or some parents eat my food, try to have their kids eat healthier, their kids never have to deal with heart disease and diet, all that, then I'm
Yeah.
happy. And so that's like that's really where that came from, is me being able to like know that I'm helping someone be more open to a plant-based lifestyle.
Yeah, and it is a huge impact when you're able to affect a child.
Mhm.
Obviously, like we can all take control of our health, and we all should, no matter what age we're at. But it's just so beautiful to be able to put a positive stamp on someone at a very young age, so that they can carry that on. Because to
Yeah.
me, it's all about breaking these cycles. We've got a lot of, especially in
Mhm.
the Black community, but I know other communities do too. We have a lot of really bad habits that are getting passed down, and
Mhm.
commend you for going through and working on and having a mission to actually break those habits for the future generations as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm just excited about where it can go. And I'm glad, even with me being able to teach the cooking class, and they're teenagers, so they're about between 12 and 13, and seeing them like interested,
Hmm.
and like asking questions, that's the best part. And I'm like, well, what can I use instead of this? I'm like, this. Like, I'll give you all the options because I want them to know that there are other options. And the sooner you start, I think the easier it is.
Hmm.
And I wish I would have knew this when my kids were born, because they wouldn't, their taste buds wouldn't be so attuned to sugar. Like I know
Right.
when they eat certain things, they're like, "This is not sweet," and I'm like, "Well, if we ate real food, an apple was sweet. Like that's what sweet is supposed to be. Sweet is not
Right.
supposed to be high fructose corn syrup and all that other stuff." And so, I just say the earlier, like the better. And so I'm
Yeah.
really glad to be like helping these teens like learn, and hopefully that they take it on through life.
Yeah, I really think they will, because I mean, if we look at a lot of the things that we do today, there you can usually trace it back to something that you learned as a child, or something that
Mhm.
impacted you in some way as a kid. And sometimes it is things that affect us in our adult lives, but a lot of things are really core to where we were as children. So,
Yeah.
what is something that you've really been proud of since you started? Because you've been in business for almost a year now, right?
No, it actually has not been that long.
Really? It feels like you've been
Um,
posting vegan meals
ever,
since like
forever.
last year. I don't know why. Like I feel like it's been a while.
I took I switched to being plant based in May. So I want to
Okay.
say I didn't start until maybe like July, August.
Okay.
Um, so I don't think it's been like, maybe we're getting up on the 6 month mark, which is
Okay.
crazy because I feel like so much has happened in between then. But I know you saw me posting because as soon as I went plant based and I was like started feeling good, I'm like, look, give me
Yeah,
these
and maybe that's
snacks.
why
Like
I
I'm
just
kind of
feel
like,
like that. But it
yeah,
feels like it's
yeah,
been like I didn't realize it was after COVID.
yeah. It was, yeah,
But you know what? I could just be tying it in because I know you also do some other like you did physical training and stuff like
yeah.
that.
Hmm.
So I know I remember seeing some of those things. So I could just be like tying it all together. But if it
Yeah,
just feels
that,
like you've
yeah.
been doing this for like a year.
But that's good. I'm glad it feels like I've been putting it out there because it's exactly what I want.
Good. So yeah, I don't know. I thought that it was beforehand, but it's still so you're about 6 months in. So I'll change
Yeah.
that from a year to 6 months.
Um, I'm trying to think. That's a hard one. Um, okay. Go for me again.
Okay, so what do you feel like has been the like your biggest success or the thing that you're most proud of in that 6 months?
Mm, So I think just me putting myself out there, it's not easy for me. And I have a bad habit of sabotaging when things look like they're gonna go good. Because once you get yourself out there, more people can see you fail. I don't like that
Mhm.
word, but it's, and so that's really been my biggest success, is not giving up. I say I'm not going to meal prep anymore, at least every 2 weeks. Like I literally say, I tell my husband, this was literally like maybe 2 weeks ago, because I took a break. I didn't, like, I shut down my website for a week. And I'm like, I'm not going to do this anymore. Like, it's not going the way I want to. Um, but it's me always like pushing through. Like I said, I wasn't going to do it. And then someone inboxed me and they're like, are you still doing your plant-based meals? I don't want to say no. And so, yes, I
No,
am.
I'm not.
I was like, I was like, I'm just doing some things under construction, and it'll be back up, Monday. And so then I had no choice. And
Mhm.
so I'm grateful for those little things. I seem to always get pushed by something in the universe every time. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do this. And then it's like, but wait. And like I even thought about the interview with you that came up. I'm like, how am I gonna say I'm not running my business when I'm supposed to be talking about my business? I'm like, I guess I gotta get back up here and
Well, first
like
of all, I wasn't gonna let you say that, because I've been rooting for you since you first announced that you were doing this. So it'd have been like, what do you mean you're not?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
now you have to explain what you mean about you're not. And
yeah,
one of the things that like I noticed with you doing this was that it flowed so well, and
mm,
sometimes like you see people start stuff up and you're like, yeah, that's gonna die. I'm not, I mean, just to be honest, like you kind
mm,
of like know when somebody's not really in it.
yeah,
You're like, okay, yeah, we'll see how this goes, kind of thing. But like,
yeah,
I didn't get that vibe when I first, like I said, I thought you had been doing this for like a year, and it's only
yeah,
been 6 months.
mm,
Sometimes things just like flow naturally with somebody, and you can tell when it's something that they're really passionate about versus when it's just something that they just trying out and they want to just see how it's gonna go. So
yeah,
I'm saying all that to tell you, like, stop telling yourself you're gonna stop, because even so
I
far
know,
in this chat, we've been talking for an hour since almost. So
yeah,
in this chat, you've consistently talked about how you want to have this impact on families and how you want to make this change for children who are growing up who may be impacted with negative health due to what they're eating currently, or maybe even something that got passed down. So I think that your mission is so large that it's one of those things like you don't get to give up. You know,
yeah,
even when you
yeah,
want to. And success is scary because I can even say for myself, it's been times where I'm like, oh, do I really want to have like this whole weight on my shoulders? Because it is a
mm-hmm,
heavy weight when you have something that you really want to do. Like it's such a weight for me sometimes to hold other people accountable to their goals. It's such a way for me sometimes to wake up and then balance between real estate and having a mommy group where I'm actually trying to motivate moms to be more than that, but it's necessary. And that's the same thing with you with Planted by Kelsi. This is necessary for people in general, but especially for our community to have access to better health, and to know that it's not something that's far fetched, to know that it's not a white people thing, and
yeah,
that we also, deserve good health. So you don't get to
yeah,
quit. And I'm glad that I sent you all those reminders and that you showed up today. And now you have to publish that website, and you keep
yeah,
having these people come back and telling you like,
mm,
hey, are you still doing this? And it's kind of pushing you to be accountable for that goal because it's
yeah.
necessary, it's needed.
And I think, especially when like, especially with your Facebook group, which has been so helpful to me, just because I struggle with balance. And then I think me wanting to put more time into my business, there's a lot of guilt. Um,
Mhm.
and that's where like what I'm dealing with now. Sometimes like, okay, I have to sit in my office for 2 hours to get this done, and like I hear the kids, and yeah, my husband, thankfully, he's like amazing. He's like, I'll take them. I got them. But that doesn't take away, like, I can still hear it. And so, like, I'm hearing them play, doing these things. And I'm like,
But they're
should I
having
really
fun, right?
be? Yeah. And I was like, should I really be here doing this right now when I can be? So it's just like, I'm trying to let go of the guilt of me trying to put myself in my business, like making making sure that I know that my business deserves my attention just as much as my kids. because I am making an impact, and they're going to be able to see that if I keep going. And so
Right.
that's like that reminder of that. I just have to be patient with finding the balance, and then being okay with the fact that even though I feel like I'm missing some moments, I feel like my children are going to learn so much from seeing what comes from that.
For sure. One of the things that helped me personally, because mom guilt is real. We
Mhm.
all deal with it. It's not like, oh, well, I'm such a perfect mom and I never had mom guilt. Like, if somebody said that to me, I've said it before, like, I'm not going to believe you. You had mom guilt at some point. Even if it was small,
Mhm.
you still had it. But being an
Yeah.
entrepreneur, one of the things that really helped me is like, I want to leave my daughter a legacy, right? So I
Mhm.
can either keep working on my business and actually have something for her to say, my mama did this. Like I can do
Yeah.
that, or I can go and I can work for somebody else. So she may still be proud of me, but it's
Mhm.
a different kind of pride to see something that your parent has built and to know like this is
Mhm.
what's being, even if she doesn't coach moms down the road. She might do something totally different, but she's empowered to do what she really wants to do because she sees mom is doing what she wants to do. Literally
Yeah.
yesterday, she sat right over here where I'm sitting and she did like a little intro to her own YouTube video. And I can see all those different things where she's inspired. Like there's moments when she's like playing by herself or she's asking for my attention. I feel bad, but I know at the end of the day, she's happy, she's healthy, she's well taken care of. And yeah, I may
Mhm.
not play with her all the time, but would it be any different if she was in daycare for a few hours versus being at
Right.
home with me? Would it be any different if she's at school? Those are all moments that our parents didn't capture. Everything that happened with
Mhm.
us at school, they didn't capture that. Those stories that you and I were writing in middle school, they weren't there for that.
Right.
There's going to be a lot of things that we're not going to be in control of, we're not going to be a part of. So we might as well make time for ourselves so that when they're grown and out of the house, when they're looking back on what
Mhm.
we did actually accomplish and what we did, they have something to be proud of. And even if we fail at something, if we can turn that into a lesson and turn that into
Mhm.
something that we learned, then it's still a win.
Yeah. And I
So,
think I actually having a conversation with my grandmother and my mom the other day, and we were talking about like a lot of like the kids who want to be rappers and football players, like all that, and that we have this thing where we want you to be great, but then we tell you that it's not realistic.
mhm,
And so we were talking about that, and like I was literally having a conversation about my grandma, like what were the things that you wish you would have did, and like for her, you just did what you were supposed to do. Like you worked and you took took care of kids. That's what she did. Then I asked my mom, and of course she had more things that she wanted to do that she didn't get done. And I'm like, do I want to, when I come to like later on in life, say I did what I was supposed to do and never reach that, and then tell my kids you can do anything. I can't
mhm,
tell them that they can do anything and then sit here and be like, well, I can't,
right,
because they won't have that example. And so that's
exactly,
one big thing. It was an eye opener for me. I'm like, can I imagine where my grandmother would have been if she would have been able to go for her dreams? Can I imagine where my mom would have been if she was, more focused on what she wanted to do instead of, just focusing on raising me.
mhm,
And so I really want, like, that's one thing I want to do, and that kind of keeps me motivated too, is that I want to be able to show my kids like you can go for your dreams and still still have a family, still take care of things. And I think it's nice that we start moving out of the traditional graduate from high school, go to college for 4 years, get a bunch of debt, work for 20 years to pay it off. Like,
right,
many people are doing that and they're not satisfied. They're not fulfilled. And
right,
like, I didn't have to go, to school for 4 years to be certified in holistic nutrition. But I have the knowledge, and I know I'm confident in the knowledge that what I have, I can, affect change in people. And so I think that's really important, just to let people know, like, you don't have to follow like this brick road that they've like created for us. Like, you can go off on your own
exactly.
path and be proud of that, because not everyone's going to support it.
Exactly. And that's what I think is so beautiful about like all the moms that I've spoken to, like some of them have degrees, some of them don't, but all of them are following a passion and a dream. And that to me is so much more powerful. Like if you want to go to school, but go to school to do something that you want to do. Because some
Mm-hmm.
things that we want to do, we actually legally need degrees and certificates and such for. But just the sense of being able to show our children that hey, you really can, like you said, you can go for whatever you want, because it is hard to be told that, but then watch the people around you not going for what they want. Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you can be a president, but why are you telling me I can be president, but like you're not doing none of the stuff that you want to do? Why are you,
Mm-hmm.
we have to be that first level of representation for our families, and we can't expect it to come from TV. We can't expect it to come from school or our government or anything
Yeah.
else. We have to be ground zero for them to see like, hey, yo, you really can do whatever you want, and not be discouraging when they want to try something that we're not comfortable with. And I think that
Yeah.
was one of the things that like I personally had to adjust to. I don't know if you've ever had to do it, where like my daughter wanted to do something, I was like, that's dumb in my head because it was dumb to me, but like to her,
Yeah.
to her it made perfect
Yeah.
sense. And that's like one of the things to adapt to. And another one of those like things we have to break the cycle on
Mm-hmm.
is like, okay, if you want to do that, then go ahead. Like
Okay.
try it at least, and then find out if you
Yeah.
really want to do it.
Right. I remember um I signed my son up for a soccer class, like a little soccer program, for little, he was still like 4 or 5 at this point. So I'm like, it's nothing. They're just kind of playing and stuff. And then he started to be good. And I'm like,
Mhm.
wait, I don't like soccer. Like, how many soccer games am I gonna have to sit at? And then I'm like, no, I don't want you to like this. Like, no, just like hockey. I'm like, I don't ever want. And then I'm like, but he could be like a big hockey star. Or he could be like a
Right.
star soccer player that I took that away because I'm like, no, I'm really not interested in that. And so it's always funny. My husband jokes, like, you're gonna be a soccer mom. Oh my God, like, I'm not ready for that.
Hey,
But if that's what because mom is gonna step up anyway. I'm gonna be out there sitting at the soccer field with the nice little tents
the little
over me, like the mom tents that they have now. I think those are so cute. Like I'm gonna be in my mom tent. If it's cold, I'm gonna have my heater and my hot cocoa, but I'll be there. And
yelling
so,
every time he hit a goal. Yes.
yep, yep. But I definitely get it because you're like, oh, that doesn't seem quite fun, or I don't know why you want to do that. And I think that's the beauty. I know for my mom, like she pushed me to like do things. Like she always had me doing something. And like I think back at those little parts and even things like I didn't enjoy, I still learned from them. And they're really valuable now. So I do appreciate, her for always pushing. And I want to always try to remember that for my kids. I'm like, oh, dude, you don't know if you'll like it. You might
Just try
not, but
it.
I bet you learn something from it.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
few things I thought I'd like. I tried it, didn't like it.
Hmm.
But that's the cool thing about it is that if you try it, that's the only way you're gonna know if you like it or not is if you
Yeah.
actually try it. It's
Yeah.
like tofu. I tried it, don't like it.
But you haven't tried my tofu.
I
So
haven't.
we're
I
gonna work
haven't.
on that.
I haven't tried it flavored. What I tried
Oh,
was
you
bland and
tried it. You tried it
disgusting.
plain,
I don't. I think it was like fried or something.
just roasted.
It was like
Okay.
It was rubbery. It was gross.
Yeah,
So I
no.
like. I won't try
Mm,
anything else that says tofu. I've heard people rave about like how good it is this way and that way and all that kind of stuff. And I just remember what I tried. And so
and that's one of the big things I think about when I talk to people. I'm like, oh, I had some that was nasty. Who giving people nasty plant-based food? Because you're making my job so much harder. Like that's what it is. Like stop cooking unflavored plant-based food and then giving it to people. Because then when I be like, it's good, they be like, nope, I tried it, I didn't like it, and then
yeah,
they be like, nope, I'm not gonna take a chance. So whoever's out there
first
doing that,
impression.
shit,
It's all about that first, especially with food. Like
hmm,
I'm not a super picky eater. Like I'll pretty much try almost anything at least once when it comes to food, unless it stinks. If it doesn't smell good, I'm not eating it. But but like that first impression of trying something, if it's not good, then it's like I don't ever want that again.
yeah, yeah,
So
and
yeah,
yeah.
all you tasteless plant-based eaters, stop it. Stop. It's not good.
Yeah, definitely.
So, of all the different things that you could have tried to start up, why do you think that you ended up doing plant based specifically? I mean, I know at one point you're certified personal trainer too, right?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a few different ways you could have gone in health.
Yeah.
I know at least in middle school you were a pretty good writer. So so there's a lot of different things that Kelsey could have done. What made you choose plant based?
Well, going back before I even got introduced to plant based, Kelsey tried everything. Um, I get an idea, and like that's one thing about me. When I get an idea and I want to do it, I'm gonna do it. And so I don't have to sign and sit around like, oh, I'm gonna do this. But I kept doing things and nothing stuck. And so, like, even with personal training, part of the reason I stopped personal training is just because I have a back injury. And I noticed that even with me trying to train like, the more I tried to train and to work with my clients, I kept getting injured. I'm like, no, I can't do that part. And actually, that's not true because there's tons of like online personal trainers. So I got to keep that out of my head too. Like, I can still use that and always remind myself of that. Um, but it was really about finding something that stuck with me. And this just stuck with me. And I can attribute it to the difference I felt in the first 6 weeks when I went plant based. Um, I have bipolar 2 disorder and anxiety. And so it got to the point where that completely took over my life, to the point where I was actually like legally considered disabled with my bipolar disorder. I couldn't work. I had to stop my like everything. And in the 6 weeks of me being able to transition and feel more energy, to be even I was on bipolar meds and like they didn't do anything. But once I started
Mhm.
eating plant based, it seemed like they actually worked. And I had been on my meds for years. So nothing changed other than what I was putting in my body. And it's still like mind blowing to me. And even like like I said, I try to eat plant based as much as possible, but there are days or like weeks when we get busy and like things go out of hand, and I can literally see the changes in my mood. Like I can attribute like the duration and the severity of my depressive episodes to how I ate 2 to 3 weeks before them. Like
Wow.
literally see like the difference in like my anxiety. That's the one thing that I like used to take anxiety meds, and I don't need anxiety meds anymore. Like that was the biggest thing that like it went away. I'm like, I'm always gonna have to deal with my bipolar disorder, but eating this way made it so much easier. And then for me going to the place like it's been 3 years now where I slept all day and I cried all day. And to be and I had moments of where I could be productive, but like going through those 6 weeks, I'm like, okay, I can do this. And wait, I have enough energy to do this. And I haven't napped all week. How did I not take a nap all week? I need to nap every day. So I went from doing that to that. Like, that's all I needed. Like it was
Mhm.
literally like all I needed because I seen it change my life. And I think that's a lot of people like they start businesses because they see everyone else is doing it or they just
Mhm.
want something to do. But if it doesn't have a connection to like your life, it's not gonna last. And this is the reason, like I said, I tried
Facts.
everything. I didn't sow teas and I didn't I mean everything you can think of. And it wasn't until I had something change my life, I'm like, oh, this is here to stay.
Mhm.
And I'm glad that I'm happy that it's evolving. Like when I started the meal prep, I didn't really know where I wanted to go, but once I got my focus and got my certification, I'm like, okay, I really want to push out to that. And it's just led to so many beautiful things. And so, and I think the evolution of things, like me, being able to be like, okay, I'm gonna do this now, but then in the future I can do this and this, all those other things I never saw beyond the now. It was like
Right.
I'm just doing this now, I'm getting this fulfillment now, but like I can look at my business and see where it's going, and that excites me. And I don't feel like that excitement can fade after a
Mhm.
while, but like every stage is more exciting. And I never had that with anything else. Usually the beginning was like, yay, I got a business, and then like, that was it. Yeah, and
Yeah.
so this was a fire that was lit and is still going. That's like the best way to describe it.
Awesome. Yeah, and you're so right about having a connection to something. And I think that it almost everyone who has like an entrepreneurial spirit to them goes through this. Like, you want to do something, but you don't really know what that something is. So you dabble and you try and you learn a few things here and there. But it is about having that true passion. I feel like the thing that's really going to keep you motivated when there's nobody else motivating you to do something is having something that really has a connection to you. So thank you for sharing that, and congratulations on changing your own personal health first, and then seeing where that was going to be impactful to other people, because it's insane. I mean, you're not the first person that I've heard talk about how they changed what they were eating and then their mental state changed.
Yeah.
It's a huge transition, and it starts with our nourishment and as far as getting our mentality right, because if you're eating crap, you're gonna feel like crap, and then you're gonna think like crap, and it's just like gonna be a big snowball. But if you flip that, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like I don't really think about it a whole lot of even how it can help with mental illness. But I mean, obviously, if it can change mentality, then that's a lot of what mental illness is. It's just flipping that switch.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of people don't realize how much our brains and our guts are connected. And so,
Mhm.
like, serotonin is made in the gut. So if you're jumped up, like, it's not going to be produced right. It's not going to be transported through your body right. And so, yeah, you have to take meds to help get that in because your body is not able to produce it or send it through your body the way it can. But if you could just change the way you eat, and then like your body's natural production, that's going to do what it's supposed to do. Our
Mhm.
bodies know what they're supposed to do, but we have grown up in an environment that has put so many toxins and different things that our bodies are like, well, I don't know what to do with this, so this all you're gonna get. Like it's literally this like, you can't and like you put, you need to like we can't grow oranges in Michigan. Like they just
Right.
won't they won't grow, they won't thrive here. They might grow, but they're not gonna thrive. Like if
Yeah.
you put your body in a situation where it can thrive, it will not let you down. But we're just not accustomed to that. And then it's not new information, but it hasn't been pushed. And
Right.
you have to like, and then people are scared of new. And I get that too. It's like I've been eating this whole way, and then you have people. My grandma lived till she was 98, and she ate pork chops every day. I get it.
Yeah, but those pork chops were also different back then than they are today. And that's another thing that people do not account for is
Mm.
the stuff that like a lot of the grandparents was raising their own pigs. They knew what the pig was eating.
Mhm.
So it wasn't as harmful as today's pigs that are eating one another, because there's a pig farm in like South Carolina and they're feeding the carcasses of dead pigs to the living pigs. And it's like
Yeah.
it's absolutely disgusting. My husband
Yeah.
had me watching some little documentary thing. It was gross. It's disgusting. So it's
What?
like when the pigs were not doing this 50, 60, 70 years ago, we can't compare what our grandparents ate to what we're eating today because it's not the same. The meat
Yeah.
here in the States is really disgusting in most cases
Yep.
because they're being fed a whole bunch of antibiotics, a whole bunch of steroids, and all these things,
hmm
like just disgusting things that they wouldn't have eaten naturally, for one, and that they
hmm
wouldn't have eaten in the older style of farms. So we can't say, like, oh, well, it's the same. We're giving them genetically modified corn to eat.
Yeah.
Like, of
Yep.
course, it's not as healthy because whatever they're eating, when we eat it, we're eating what they ate too.
Yeah. Yep. And that's the biggest thing some people don't realize. And like I got judgment when I switched to a plant-based lifestyle. Like, why would you and how could you do that? And I'm like, but it can literally like extend my lifespan. Like
Mhm.
I'm literally adding years to my life, and I find I get frustrated sometimes because like I can tell people that, and like, and I'm like, why? I try to search for the reasons that's not an important factor or something we don't think about. But I think because in the world we're in the now. I have to
Mhm.
do this now. And then it's crazy because we save for the future. Like we want to have all this money and retire and then buy our private island. You know, that's on my list. I'm sorry. It just is. And so like, but am I gonna live long enough to buy my island because I'm not taking care of my body? And so
Yeah,
that's like, yeah, that's like the biggest thing is just like putting that perspective in it that it's not just about, you know, being healthier now, it's how healthy you can be 40 years from now.
right. I think that a lot of people just feel like it's not obtainable to them,
Mm-hmm.
so they don't think about it. I
Mm-hmm.
don't really understand that mentality personally. My husband and I both talk about our futures a lot, and we do a lot of things today to prepare for that future, and not just financially, like you said, even with health. Most of the time we cook at home just because it's, for one, it's cheaper. Honestly, it's
Yeah.
way cheaper to cook at home, but it's also healthier. Like, I know what's
Mm-hmm.
going into my food more so than if I was to go to a restaurant or what have you. And it's not to say that we
Mm-hmm.
don't ever go to restaurants. There has been a few days, especially when I picked up real estate, where we were just way too busy. And I'm like, okay, we're like you said, ordering a pizza today, or we're gonna order some Thai food from our favorite place. But we still have a huge thought pattern about the future. And like you said, there's so many people that are just like, oh, well, why would you do this or do that? Why would you go work out? Why would you eat this? Or I don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the biggest thing is this idea that it's not obtainable to them for whatever
Yeah.
reason. There's some kind
Mm-hmm.
of thought there that where they feel like, well, that's not realistic for me, and they have all this long list of excuses of why it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And it really is, it's just a rewiring of the
Mm-hmm.
brain to say, like, actually, you know what, you can have health. uh is the first step to
Yeah.
wealth. Financial wealth is actually probably the smallest piece of the puzzle when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to wealth, and especially generational wealth. But I know, especially in our community, it's like it's a whole reworking of our thought process, because we're so accustomed to not being able to obtain something, that I feel like that's
Mm-hmm.
been passed down through generations, and it even affects our health. So, oh, well,
Yeah.
we can't have this. But the
Mm-hmm.
reality is you can.
You
And
can.
it doesn't have to be what it was in the past. It can be better,
Yeah.
it can be different. But I
Mm-hmm.
I, I feel you. That's a struggle. Believe me, when I
Yeah.
when I try to tell people about balance, it's the same way. Oh,
Yeah.
well, balance isn't realistic. Balance isn't perfection, guys.
Right.
Oh, health isn't realistic. It is.
Yeah.
Like, you can literally plant a seed and watch your health growing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of it is finding your why. And so when you have a strong why for anything, it's going to push you. And like I battled cancer in my teens. And so like, you know, there's a direct correlation on like the meat, the processed meats, you know, junk food and all that stuff that we put in our body to the cause of the cancer. I'm like, so you're telling me if I can eat a plant-based diet mostly, take out all the junk, that I can possibly prevent the chance of me having, you know, cancer recurring in the future. Like, I don't need much more convincing than that.
Right.
And I think when people look at it as like a preventative thing, like you go to the doctor, you go get your checkup, you go take a flu shot to prevent the flu, you know, but you won't eat better to possibly prevent like diabetes or hypertension and stuff like that. And so, and like I said, it's not about perfection, but I think about the people who are like, oh no, I just like can't, you know, don't even want to like even think about it. And it's like, it's
Right.
just small steps. Like I told my students, like, don't just, no, I'm not saying just take all, you know, the bad stuff out, but like if you make your plate, put your piece of meat like this small and throw some beans on there and some, you know, so it's just like
Right.
that balance and understanding that it's not as scary as it seems.
Yeah. I mean, it is a transition. It most certainly is, but it's not really that bad. I mean, I'm not plant based personally. Like, I don't want anybody to think like, oh, Lena Michelle's plant based. I'm not. But I've had some drastic changes in my own health, and it wasn't because I wanted to personally. It was certain things that my husband could not eat. Like we just talked about how disgusting the meat is here.
Yeah.
So like we had to cut out red meat and pork because he
Mm-hmm.
would get sick off of it. So it was
Yep.
like I had to adjust because I'm the chef in the family. So
Mm-hmm.
I had to adjust. And it was no point in me going and buying a steak or pork chops for myself and then cooking. Like that's way too much for me.
Yes.
If you want to
Yes.
do that, anybody else watching you like cooking a bunch of different meals, more power to you. I knew that wasn't for me. And so I was essentially forced to be like, okay, he can't eat it, so I might as well not even eat it either. And
Mm-hmm.
so it was hard at first because I grew up on steaks and pork chops and ribs and all of
Mm-hmm.
that. But in all honesty, I can even say for myself, I've had better energy than eating pork chops and
Yeah.
all that. And now, even if I have like a slip up moment, I get headaches now too from some of that stuff because it's
Yeah.
completely cleared out of my system. And all that tells me is it was never good for me in the first place. But
Yeah.
my body was accustomed to it. So it's like, all right, you want to keep doing this. We still got to function. But
Yeah.
now it's like, look, stupid, we told you to
And
stop
that's the
doing
biggest
that.
thing sometimes is that we're so accustomed to eating the way we do, like we don't know that we feel like crap.
Right.
Like honestly, we are used to this. We get up every day, we still work, we take care of our kids, all that stuff, and we just go to bed and we're tired, and that's just how it is. So a lot of people won't see it until you experience the difference. Like I said, that's what stuck with me is that I experienced such a difference, and I'm like, it was just for me changing like my diet. Like it was, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it was just simple as that. And like, don't get me wrong, I love a good rib. So like, I get to, and I think it makes it better because like I still enjoy these things, but not all the time. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm so ready for summer because we love to barbecue, and I'm excited because I get to, this year I'll be barbecuing some veggies and like I'm gonna throw some tofu on the grill, and do different things like that. But I'm also going to enjoy the things I used to enjoy just in way smaller quantities. And so, but yeah, I'm ready for that first barbecue. And
Yeah.
Memorial Day is gonna happen.
I'm excited too because we just got a new grill last year, and so I'm excited to try new stuff on it. We're supposed to be able to make pies on this grill,
Ooh.
so I'm excited to just try different little things out there this summer and fresh from the garden, like you said, getting some veggies on there. Oh, we
Mm-hmm.
did sauteed spinach in a cast iron skillet on the in the grill. It was good.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can imagine that grill flavor like going into that. I'm gonna have to try that.
It was good. It was probably the best spinach that I made was literally when we put it out on the
Mm,
grill. But yeah,
I'm
I'm
gonna
ready for
write
it to
that
warm
one.
up. It's teasing us
Yeah.
right now with no snow and everything, so I'm just
Hmm.
hoping that it's really truly around the corner.
Right.
Anybody else in Michigan, you'll understand how we feel.
Yeah.
So I want to get into some of our fun questions because we are going to be
Okay.
going live the day that this airs. So we'll get into some other questions that I have for you on the live. But um, what would you name a book that was named after yourself, Kelsi,
Um, that's
or after your
actually
life?
that's actually like a really easy one for me. It would be called resilience. Like
Resilience.
playing out. I was actually speaking to my therapist the other day, and she like I was like I just started seeing her, so I have to you recap your story, like go to therapy,
Mm-hmm.
you tell your story, and she was like, "Have you ever thought of yourself as this word?" And I'm like resilient, and like I've tried to do like affirmations and stuff like that, and I'm really not into them because they don't feel like genuine. That is the one affirmation I can look in the mirror and say and believe 100%. Like I've been through so much, and I I might stop, but I never give up. I might take a break, but I never give up. And so that would definitely be what it's called. And I think even like when we talk about motherhood, like I try different things, like that doesn't work and I get frustrated, but then like we're gonna figure this out. Like we're gonna figure out a way for mommy to take care of you guys and run her, like we're gonna figure it out. And I think that's what life is really about. It's not like harping on the things that don't work out, it's getting
Mm-hmm.
back up and pushing, and eventually and like you can't rely on your timing. I put that out the window. Things are going to happen when they're supposed to happen, and
Mm-hmm.
I think the sooner you let go of those like big expectations or those unrealistic expectations, you'll see things just start to grow.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I don't know if you remember how I was even as a kid, but I've always been like really particular about wanting things to go a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I remember that. And that was the hardest thing for me, seriously, was like letting go of the expectation that things were supposed to go a certain way. But once I let that go, that was the thing that really helped me with balance, helped me with my planning, helped me with my relationships, especially with my husband, because like I used to be at him all the time if like things didn't go the way I thought they ought to go. And I felt
Mm-hmm.
completely confident in the fact that I was right about feeling that way. And
Of
part of
course.
what helped was becoming a mother and realizing like I can't be mad at this child for for pooping out of her diaper, and
Right.
I didn't plan to have to stop and change outfits and do all those things. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that motherhood actually helped me get to that point. And
Yeah.
then when I made that switch to say, hey, you also have to do things for yourself. um and I've told the story before. I did what you were just talking about. I planned everything down to
Yeah.
like the minute of what I expected
Yeah.
to do. And the first week, I was so mad because like nothing went like,
Yeah.
like I planned. And I remember looking back at it like none of this worked out. And I had to realize like what worked for me at least was leaving gaps in my schedule because I still am a very like for me, I have to see what I have planned for the day still. And I may
Mhm.
not get to it at the exact hour that I planned or what have you, but I still have to personally see it to be able to see that growth. But yeah, I had to let go of that idea of like everything was going to get done that day at that time that I said it was going to get done.
Yeah.
Because as a mom,
Mm-mm. It doesn't work like that. And it's
doesn't
funny
work.
that you mentioned that because yesterday my son got car sick in the car. And
Mm.
so like we're out like running errands. Like I have things to do. And it's weird because I think with like my mindset before, like, okay, I have a plan, we're hitting here, here, and here. We have to be home by this because I had to teach cooking class yesterday. And so I'm like, I have to do this. I dropped off the ingredients to my students. I'm like, we have to go here and here. I have to be home by 1 because I want to take a nap. And then he gets sick. And I think the biggest thing I noticed is that I didn't get frustrated. Like we were out, I was like, pull over there. I ran into the Dollar Tree, got some wipes and some towels, grabbed him some Pedialyte. I ran to Old Navy, got him some new pants. We cleaned that car seat. We put the towels down and we kept rolling. Where
Mm.
before, I think I would have went to like, oh, the rest of the day is just gonna go. And
And that's
like
what
you just
happens.
have to be you have to be flexible, especially with children. Like they don't care what type of schedule you got.
Mhm.
Like my kids, I'm like, I'm working. They're like, so can I sit on your lap? Like, how can I type? Like, you're not little anymore. I
Like
can't
this.
like when they're tiny, you put it, put them in a little swaddle. You can hold them right here and like type. Like that's how I went to school with my oldest. Like I started school like right before he was born, and like I could just put him right here, and I could type my papers and like get everything
Right.
done. Now I got two 40-pound 4-year olds trying to sit on my lap while I'm at the computer. Like, how can I like do that? And I just know that I can't expect me to possibly get done with everything I want to do in the day if they're like at to the point where they're like, no, I'm not gonna let you work. I
Right.
can't be mad at that. Like they love their mama. And I'm like, okay, I just have to, I just have to let it go and not be so frustrated because at the end of the day, everything will get done. Everything
Yeah.
will eventually and it's just prioritizing time, which I'm still working on. And that's all about that balance part. And I just want to thank you so much for what you do because I think about you a lot. I'm like, you know, that word balance. And that word balance didn't really stick to me until you started your Facebook group. Just because I know I'm not like super active in the group all the time, but like I read the posts and I'm like, okay, that makes so much sense. And then so being able to like have that word and like that's one thing I'm striving for is that balance part. And it makes me excited because it's obtainable.
Mhm.
And
It really is. And
Yeah.
you hit the nail on the head on one of the things that you said was that you didn't feel frustrated when your son got car sick, right? And one of the things that I've noticed with myself and with other mothers too is the frustration itself that takes a huge chunk of your time. Because if
Yeah.
you approach anything with frustration, it's going to take you longer to get through
Mhm.
it because you're processing all that frustration while trying to handle the situation that's at hand. So when you don't process it with frustration, it runs smoother. You usually can still get done whatever you wanted to get done, and you don't waste all that time being with your anxiety up here
Yeah.
because something didn't go the way that you planned.
Yeah.
So that's such a huge step in getting to balance first and foremost. And like I keep saying, it's not about perfection. It's balance
Mhm.
doesn't mean that you're going to spend equal time on your business and equal time with your kids and equal time with your spouse. That's so unrealistic. The reality
Mhm.
is just looking at, for one, how much time does it actually take for me to do what I need to do for my business today? How much time is it actually going to take for me to do this activity that I want to do with my kids? And when you know that, then that kind of helps a little bit too with your time
Mhm.
management and with your balance, but it's not going to be exactly equal. We only get 24 hours in a day, and we got to
Yeah.
sleep, we got to eat, got
Yep.
to use the bathroom. And
Mhm.
if you're a mother, you probably pee more than you used to pee before. So
Yep.
so you got to have that extra time in there, you know? So
Mhm.
it's not realistic to view balance as perfection. And I don't know if you remember in middle school when we had the little scales. Do you remember those where
Yeah.
you had to put
Yep.
different things on it? And
Yep.
if you think about those scales, sometimes you would have like three things over here and one thing over here to balance it out, right? And there could still be a whole bunch of other stuff that they gave you to balance that scale
Mhm.
out that was still on the table. That's literally the same thing it is with life. Like you just have to choose what things you're going to be balancing at that moment. And the rest of the stuff, okay, I'll get to it when I get to it.
Yep. Yep. And
That's it.
that's such a big thing. And I think like we've been saying this whole time, like it comes down to like the expectations or like the view. Like for me, I always wanted to have like a really tight routine with my kids. You wake up at 8, you brush your teeth at 8:02, you go potty at 8:03, you're at the table by 8:10, you know, eat. Like that's how I thought, that's how I looked at life. And so I would get so frustrated, like, all right, this week we're gonna start a new schedule, and then it's 10 o'clock and everybody watching TV, and I'm just sitting there. I'm about ready to cry. I'm like, this is just not working, and
Yeah.
it's not realistic with kids to have a tight schedule. We have a very loose schedule between this time and this time. Somebody gonna cook breakfast. I don't know who, but somebody gonna do it. And then it's like, it's really loose for us, but it's actually made a big difference from when everything was just like all willy nilly, like everything was just like crazy. And I
Mhm.
always thought it had to be all or nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm still like, trying to break myself out of that all or nothing mode. I'm like, I just have to learn to be okay with like everything not getting done, like my house. I want my house to be clean.
You got
That's
toddlers, girl.
It's not gonna happen. I don't care what I do, how much I try. So I'm just fine with it now.
Yeah.
Like this wall is nice and clear, but you don't want to see. Don't let me put my camera. Like it's not okay. And I'm okay with that. Like, and it's, I'm not okay with it every day. And but
Yeah.
like today, like I'm
You've
okay
learned to
with it.
accept the reality that you have
Yeah.
toddlers and
Yeah.
it's it's gonna happen. And like I look to the side, like over here to me is my daughter's room and it's Legos all over the floor. I
Yeah.
just I just know to watch where I step, but it's not realistic, especially with toddlers. Now, once they're older and they can clean up after themselves, and even then, it's
Mm-hmm.
still not realistic. But
Yeah.
it's not realistic to have like
Mm-hmm.
a spotless house unless you have the ability to hire a maid or a nanny or something like
Yep.
that. Then it may be realistic to you, but in many
Right.
cases, it's not going to be realistic to think that your baby to like 10 years old child is going to
Mm-hmm.
keep their room clean 24/7.
Yep.
It's just
Mm-hmm.
it sounds good. It sounds real
It
good.
does. It does. And then you see, like you talked about earlier on social media, you see the people with their clean houses, and then you see the mom who got up and made breakfast at 7 a.m. and then had her kids and they read their books and then they went outside and had homeschool in the garden.
That
And
was
like,
just a good
all
day.
yes,
It's happened for me before where it's like, hey,
yeah,
I'm on top of things today, and the next day
yes.
comes through and it's like, yeah,
And being okay with that is so important. Because I have my great days for everything, and then the next day I'm who like who are you guys? Like, where are the children I had yesterday? Like, where's the cooperation and everything? And I'm like, it's just not here. And it's just learning to be okay with it and not. I think there's still a lot of mom guilt around that when you don't feel like you have it figured out. But your kids don't know any better. They don't know. You don't know what you're doing. I don't know what I'm
right.
doing half the time. I've never been a parent before.
Making up as we
Somebody
go.
actually told me that twins were like this crazy. I didn't know. I didn't know kids fought so much. Like they fight all the time. Like I wasn't prepared for that, but there's nothing I can do. I'll talk to many people. Like brothers and sisters fight. I did research. Like there's no way to undo it. I was really like there has to be some way to make them get along.
But you were an only child, right?
Yes,
See,
and
that's
my
why
husband was too.
you
And
didn't have
so
the sibling rivalry.
no, and it's so different, especially for me and him. We both grew up only children. And so like I think like I would be happy to have like a sibling, that was there and I get to play with, like be nice, like love them. They don't understand that right now. All they
They
know is
because
so
they
and
have
so is
it
getting on my nerves and
right.
I want them gone. So I'm gonna hit them in the face. Like that's literally it.
My brothers and I are all 5 years apart, and we fought. I remember being set on by I'm 5 and he's 10 and he's sitting on me because he didn't want things. And I told you earlier how he fast forward through my little singing parts in the
Yeah.
movies. Like, you think we didn't fight about that? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now, would I trade it for anything in the world? Absolutely not. I loved having my brothers around, and I think that's probably how your kids are gonna feel as they get older too. Like they have a
Yeah.
sibling. To this day, I wish I had a sister. We probably would have fought, but
Yeah.
I also see sisters who I know have fought because I've seen them fight have such an amazing bond. So
Mhm.
yeah, that you just didn't know because you was the only child. But
Yeah, so I
yeah,
didn't get, well, that was like, that's the biggest thing for me. I'm like, just get along, like, love each other.
they
Like,
do.
especially the twins. I'm like, you guys literally grew inside me together.
They
How
probably
can
was
you not
fighting in
get
there
along?
too. Move over.
Yeah,
This is my part of the womb. What you doing?
yeah. Yeah. That's so
so,
funny.
so yeah, that's just kids. I mean, if you think about it, you probably had arguments with your friends.
Yeah, yeah.
Shoot, we
You
probably had
could think
arguments
about
I don't
the up
remember,
and
but I
down.
mean,
Yeah, yeah. You have those up and downs, and it goes. But I think with any relationship, like with the relationship with your kids, your spouse, like friends, anything like that, it's just finding that, and that I think that goes with balance too. Like
mhm.
anything, it's like balance is like something that can be spread across like every like section of your life, and when you really, I think when you strive for that and understand that it's like possible, like the world just like opens up.
It truly does. It truly does. I can't explain enough the difference that it made in my life. And just like you said, with the plant based making a huge impact in your life, and that's what guided you towards it. Same
Yeah,
thing. Balance made a huge difference in my life, in my relationships, and how I
right.
even felt about myself and my own personal growth. And it was like, it's no reason why other people shouldn't have a taste of this.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like
And you're
it's
just on fire, like you want to give it to everybody. So that's right. And I'm
yeah,
like, this is possible. Like I want to tell you, like it's obtainable. It's not as scary as it looks. And then so it's just
exactly.
about pushing it out. And I'm glad like we're both able to be in our lanes and be making change because that especially thinking about like we're like what 10, 11 years out of like high school and like I think some
Don't be
people
telling
have
people that.
look we
They they
you
think I'm
almost
like
30. I'm
23.
30. I'm 30. Look, look, I had to accept it, and like I can't believe I just said that out loud. It's been
I'm
a
not
while,
there
but
yet, so I'm still in my 20s.
like, you real close,
I know.
like real close.
I know. Just a few
Like,
more
you better
months.
get ready, close.
I'm actually good with it. I'm just kidding. Like I actually
Yeah,
don't mind being 30. I kind of embrace it because it's just another stepping stone in growth. But I'm just
yeah,
kidding. People do. honestly think a lot of times that I'm younger just because I don't look 30 apparently.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm every bit on my way to 30.
Yes. And that's like, and I think I had a moment, and I think that sometimes what's wrong with like society is that you think you're supposed to have it figured all out by now. Like I'm
Mhm.
literally just starting on what's going to be my life's work.
Right.
Everything I went through, it led me to that moment. So I was excited to turn 30 because I'm like 30 is gonna be different. I think we all say that, like, if you hit 25, you're like, I'm gonna do this and this, but I'm finally at
But
the
it
place where
is
like I know
different.
it's gonna be different. Yeah.
Every stage is different. And you're right. I feel like for me, it started at 25. 25 was like when I started making little tweaks and changes in my life.
Hmm.
And then, like, as I got closer to 30, it was like everything started to kind of flow and me understanding who I really am and what I really want. And obviously, for everybody, it comes at different stages. But I don't know
Yeah.
about you, Kelsi, but I can't look back at 20-year-old me and imagine me doing this at 20 when I was
No.
20. For one, I
Mm-mm.
didn't have that knowledge. I wasn't really that tapped into who I was. And it
Right.
was a lot of things to like still being a kid in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
So I think like the maturity needed to be there for me to be able to do what I feel like I'm really called to do. Like I've
Right.
always felt
Yeah.
like I had this in me to help people in some way, but 20-year-old me wasn't helping nobody. I wasn't even helping myself.
Yeah. Yep. And all those experiences, like, they add up. I think like if I didn't go through what I went through with my mental health and it didn't get as bad as it did, I wouldn't have had the motivation to even think about this maybe helping me. And then, I wouldn't, there wouldn't have been that big difference. There wouldn't have been that drive, that fire. And so it's just so important to acknowledge the little things along the way because they really make you who you are.
100%. Without them, we wouldn't be here. We
Yeah.
wouldn't be having this conversation if we didn't go through all the things. Because I mean, like our face to face conversation is probably the first one we've had since high school,
Yeah,
face to
definitely.
face.
Yeah.
And like I don't even think that our paths would have crossed in this way had it not been for all the stuff that happened in those 10 years where
Mhm.
we
Yep.
may have messaged here and there on Facebook or what have you. I don't think that it would have crossed like that. It is crazy just what every little thing that has happened in our lives, what it brings
Right.
brings you back to. But
Yeah.
I said earlier that I was gonna start wrapping this up, but
I know.
but then, but then
Well,
we started talking about other things.
so
So
did
yes,
we
guys,
get?
this is going to be another long episode, but you'll be fine because there's so much
Yeah.
greatness in here, and I know there's a lot that moms and even people who aren't mothers can learn from our conversation. So I do have one more fun question that I always
Okay.
ask on the YouTube videos for moms, and I want you to imagine that I'm a genie. So you said Aladdin was your favorite movie. You know how it works. Three wishes.
Yeah, I'm ready.
you probably already put a lot of thought into this before we
Yes.
even got to this point.
Yeah.
But my wishes don't have as many rules as Genie's did.
Okay.
The only rule that I have is that you cannot wish for more wishes. That's the only rule. You wish for
Okay.
whatever else you want,
Mhm.
just not more wishes.
Okay. So, my first wish would be a house on some land. That is a goal I'm pushing for right
How much
now. But
land?
one to
I
two
could give
acres.
you like a square of
No,
land.
1 to 2 acres.
See, I'm also a supportive genie. Before I grant your wish, I'm
First
gonna
wish.
ask you
Yeah,
some
because you didn't
details.
see. I didn't specify, so I could have got like a little patch of grass.
Right.
So yeah, that of some land, 1 to 2 acres. Yeah, that would be my first wish. My second wish would be, oh, I guess my dream car. That sounds kind of bad, but it is. I would ask for my dream car,
It's your
which
wishes. You can wish.
I
You
know.
wish
I'm
for
just
whatever you
saying,
want
like,
to.
I'm thinking about everything you can wish for, and I'm like, I want a car, but I do. So, I want a Land Rover, like, really bad, like, And so that would be my second
What
wish.
year? Because I could get you like the oldest Land Rover ever with like 1,000,000 miles on it.
Actually, the older the better. I don't like the newer style cars. So like we can go like '09, 2010, like that range. I'd be like so cool with that because I don't like the newer styles for some reason.
See, I could have
Um,
ended up granting you a 2021. You'd be like, "What is this?"
I know, right? I don't want that.
I'm trying to help y'all for when I actually get my genie powers and I can really
No
grant
worries.
wishes.
Okay, I'm gonna know how to like say the wishes exactly right. And then my third wish, um, I think that would be to have. It's really like toward my business is to have enough outreach, um, to reach everyone who um needs like a transition to make their life better.
Okay.
Yeah. If I could wish, if I can just see, like, to make sure that my message gets to everyone who needs it. 'Cause and, you know, that might not be realistic, but in the genie world, we could do it.
It's a
But we
genie
used to,
world. We making
yeah,
anything
genie
real.
world, yeah,
So now you
yeah.
just reached out to
So,
everyone who needs it. You got
yeah,
the staff to make it happen. You got the whole thing
yeah,
flowing. So
mm-hmm,
it's a
yeah,
genie wish.
yeah. And I'm sitting in my Land Rover doing
Yeah,
Zoom interviews on my 2 acres. And see, I'm happy. I
with your
think
little
that's pretty
farm.
simple. Yeah, see, I didn't even ask for no money.
See,
Like,
you got a genie. What you need money for?
right.
And you got outreach. So the outreach is gonna make you the money to pay on the taxes
Mm-hmm.
for the land and the car
Yep.
insurance and all that. See, good.
Yep. And then the
That works out.
garden. Then everybody comes shop and buy veggies. Look, we got it all planned out.
You gotta have a little petting zoo in your on your land.
I don't like animals. I like dogs.
Oh, you said you wanted a farm. You mean like
I
so? You
do.
mean like a plant based
Yeah.
farm?
Yeah. Yeah. I want like I want land to farm on. I don't. I no. I'm not.
Okay.
No. I'm not
So
cleaning
so
up
you don't want
nothing.
like
No.
the cows and the
Mm-mm.
chickens and the.
No. I want a barn. It's not gonna be no animals in it. I just think they're really cute. And so
I was like, wait, what's gonna be
picture
in the bar?
I pictured a barn in my backyard on my 2 acres. It's just there, like a nice big red pole barn.
Is
Not
that
really
where you go
sure.
park the Land Rover?
Yeah, see? Perfect. I don't know what would be in there. It wouldn't be animals, but it's the illusion. It's that picture. It just, that's what
People gonna
yeah,
be pulling
that's
up
just
to your
what I
farm
see.
looking for goats.
No, we ain't got no go here. You can pet my dog. That's about it.
We have a dog. If you like to pet the dog, you're good.
Yep.
Well, thank you for playing along. I'm glad that you were an Aladdin fan, so it made it more fun. You kind of already knew how the genies were going to work.
Right.
So for now, I'm gonna wrap up. I know obviously when we go live, there's like so many other things that I want to tap into,
Yeah.
but we could talk for hours. And I don't think YouTubers like to watch really long videos. So
Yeah, they don't know. I know I struggle with it, so I get it.
yeah, I usually break down the time for everyone anyway. But go ahead and tell everyone how they can connect with Planted by Kelsi. I said that right, right?
Yep.
Okay, Planted
Yep.
by Kelsi,
And so
and what areas you service also.
okay. And so you can find me on Facebook at Planted by Kelsi Lynn. Um and then I'm also on Instagram is planted underscore by underscore Kelsi Lynn. And then you can also just follow me even on Facebook. Like I post a lot of stuff. So that's just, Kelsi Beverly. You can add me as a friend. I'm always open to people like messaging me. Like if you want more information, I'm always willing to share. And then my website is going to be planted by Kelsi Lynn. Dot my mealogics. That's MyMeallogix.com.
Okay, and that's gonna like in all the other videos slide across, and it also be in the description below. So If you are watching this on the go, you can still connect with Kelsi just by going into the video description or watching it kind of slide across. So now, what areas do you service? Because I know you're in Michigan.
Yeah. So right now, it's the Kalamazoo like Portage area. I am
Okay.
working hopefully to be able to ship meals. That's more complicated than it seems. And so I've been working towards it just because I have a lot of people like, can you send it? And I'm like, well, I don't know about that yet. But eventually, I want to be able to ship meals across Michigan. Kind of want to stay, more local. I'm not heading, cross country as of yet. But yeah, eventually, probably closer to like summertime, I'm hoping to be able to ship so I can reach a broader audience.
Okay, awesome. So right now we're serving the greater Kalamazoo area. Is that what they call it? I feel like
Yeah,
I feel like it's
yeah,
greater Kalamazoo.
yeah, yeah.
Anyways, I should know this because that's where I'm from, but
But
I think it's like the greater Kalamazoo area, and then your plan is to expand to
yeah,
Michigan and
yeah,
maybe beyond that, possibly in the
yeah.
future. But
Whatever the universe has planned, I'm open.
yeah, now just hit that publish button on that website so that when they click on it,
It'll actually be there, right?
you'll be there. Yeah.
Yeah,
I know you're going to. I'm just teasing, but yeah. And also hopefully motivating you to go ahead and hit that publish button on Saturday.
yeah. I think I got some work to do when we get done.
Yes, yes. All right. Well, Kelsi, thank you so much for spending some time with me today. And then I will connect with you again. Everybody, we're going to be live March 29th at 8 p.m. on Instagram. That's on my Instagram, instagram.com/momcoachwife or momcoachwife on Instagram. So make sure that you guys tune in to watch us live. There's so much more that we can discuss, as you guys have seen from the length of the video. There's a lot to talk about when we're talking about motherhood and growth and balance and health and nutrition. So, see you guys there. Bye, Kelsi.
Bye.